This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's The Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. You jump in, we'll talk about your life and your money. It's a free call, and some say the advice is worth what you pay for it. Flying solo today, the phone number is 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Melissa in New York City starts us off this hour. Hey, Melissa, how are you?
Hey, thank you very much for taking our call. It's much appreciated.
Absolutely. How can we help?
Okay. I have some, for me, it's exciting, but my husband's going to be retiring. And he has the final papers to fill out, and I figured you're the best person to ask this question. He's being offered $1.6 million to retire or his pension payments. And I really don't know which way to go because there's so many options.
So a lump sum on the pension is 1.6.
Well, correct. So he can get a $1.6 million correct payout.
Lump sum on his pension.
Correct.
Okay.
That would be that.
That's not a retirement package that they're paying him compensation to retire. That's his pension.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
So that will have to be rolled over right into a like a retirement.
Yes.
You get it. So it differs. Yes. So no tax implications right away.
Right.
Or he has an option to take has options like 20, 50, 75, or 100% for survivorship.
Right. For you or for your heirs beyond you. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
So obviously you can only choose one. So obviously he would pick me, but he would opt for the 100% survivorship. Mm-hmm. If anything. Mm-hmm. They make it very attractive. It
only survives one generation past you, though. After that, it's gone.
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Yeah. So ultimately, the money either evaporates or it stays in your family.
Correct.
It only stays in your family if you take the lump sum and you roll it to an IRA.
Correct.
Yeah. So you take it.
Okay. And what's the pension payments? Because I'm just so scared with the market and what's going on. And, my husband told me I'm crazy not to take the lump sum. Yeah, take the lump sum. We can make money on the lump sum.
Now, go back and sit down with your investment advisor. Or if you don't have one, get with a SmartVestor Pro and sit down. Right. And look at, how old are you guys?
He's 55 and I'm 50.
Okay. And look at the market. Look at the market for the last 40 or 50 years.
Okay.
And you can there are some charts that are interesting to look at, which will help you with your nerves, okay? That have the worst day. Here's what happened on Black Monday in 1987. Here's what happened when the market went down at the end of the Bush, beginning of the Obama administration, 2008. Here's what happened after 9/11. Here's what happened spring of COVID.
Yes.
Okay? Which, as an example, it went down dramatically for 57 days.
Right.
Or went down dramatically, and it took 57 days to recover. We did not know that because we did not know what COVID was going to do to our economy, right?
Correct.
But the only way you would assume that you would not ride this roller coaster out from the bottom back up would be you would have to make the assumption that the economy is entirely collapsing. Same in 2008. Same in 9/11. Same if you go back into the Carter administration. Same if you go back to, here's a weird one, in the late 1950s, the stock market shot way down when the Russians launched the first satellite and beat us into space, Sputnik. Actually, you can see a stock market change on these geopolitical issues. The assassination of Osama bin Laden. sees a spike upward, and so on. So these are issues that don't have anything to do with finance, but that end up driving the market on a short term because the market is also driven by emotions. So it helps you to look at that, and it helps you to go, okay, how long did it take after the planes hit the towers and the stock market was literally closed for 2 days because Wall Street is right there on that tip of Manhattan. And then when it finally did reopen, it tanked. It dropped 500 points in 20 minutes.
Right, I remember that. I remember that. It was yesterday.
What most people don't remember is that in 47 days it returned.
Right, and better than ever.
Exactly, and shot and never looked back. It went down to 6,500 in 2008. It's at 35,000. The Dow is this week.
Right.
So
no, you're right.
Yeah, you've got to get those numbers kind of down in your heart, or you're going to freak out with this idea. Now, once you've done that, then here's what you're going to discover: the average on the stock market return since it began is a little over between 11 and 12%, depending on how you want to measure it, somewhere in there.
Right.
This pension is paying out at about 7%. Okay? So if you run your pension numbers on the 1.6 million, you're going to see 7% or thereabouts. Okay? Depending on which survivorship choice you pick. But that's what that number of dollars annually as a return on 1.6 will be right around there. So you're going to get more money while you're alive in mutual funds, and you're going to get more money when he dies in mutual funds by rolling it to there. So
at least my children can have it too then.
And it doesn't disappear upon the death.
Right.
Your children and their children's children and their children's children. Here's another interesting thing. If you don't touch it and you just live off of something else, and you invested in that, it'll double about every 7 years.
Well, he's got about $1 million in his 401k plan now.
Yeah. So
and that's in addition to the 1.6.
Yeah, if we take 1.6, just talking about this one discussion, it's going to be 3.2 after 7 years at 62. At 69, it would be about 7. And at 76, it'll be 14.
14 what?
Million.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, and that all goes to your kiddos and their kiddos and so on, as long as, and 100% of the time it does not go to them if you leave it in this stinking pension. So you take the rollover and you roll it in a direct transfer traditional IRA, which you've already researched, you've already discovered there are no taxes, and you invest it in a good mix of mutual funds. I'm 60, I'm older than you guys. Mine is invested across the 4 types that we talk about here on the air. 1/4 in growth and income, aggressive growth, and international. All mutual funds that have long 10-year or more track records. All mutual funds that have outperformed the index for the area that they are in, meaning the stock market. So they're doing better than the market on average and have a track record of that. And 100% of that money will pass to my heirs. It will not be left behind for the pension plan. There's very few times, folks, that you won't take the lump sum on a pension, and that's the reason. Because you lose it all when you die. That's it. You get 0. That's easy math. This is The Ramsey Show.
We were drawn to Christian Healthcare Ministries because we both had young families and we wanted to have more children. And we had also just started a real estate company and needed to find healthcare coverage that would meet our needs. We were attracted to CHM because of its low monthly costs and the ability to negotiate medical costs down.
Established in 1981 and accredited by the Better Business Bureau, CHM is here to meet the needs of your growing family or small business. Check us out at chministries.org/budget.
We absolutely believe in it.
Our question of the day is from Blinds.com. a wonderful American company. You can find out for yourself why Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Free samples, free shipping. The new promos they run every month, you'll save even more. Use the promo code Ramsey to get the best possible deal. You know, I bought blinds from these guys many times, and we've endorsed them for over a decade now. You know why? They take care of you guys. Today's question comes from Deborah in Arkansas. My 90-year-old mom recently received $300,000 from the sale of her home. She now lives in an independent living residence at a cost of $4,000 a month. She received about $1,500 a month from Social Security. She has no debt. She's cognitive, ambulatory, and in good health for her age. Someone from her bank called me to talk about investment options for the $300,000. Should she invest any of these funds or just let it sit in her bank savings account? If she should invest, then how much? Well, it's a touchy subject. If we're parking it for her peace of mind, we can park it in a savings account. It will make absolutely nothing, which is the bank's goal. And she'll make nothing and she'll lose nothing, and she'll have that nest egg just sitting there. The likelihood of her burning through it while she's alive at her age, statistically, would be 0. Because you only need a couple $1,000 a month, $24,000, and she has to live to over 100. And that's not going to, likely, statistically, not likely to happen. Do people live to over 100? Yes, they do, but that's not statistically. Were I her, was it me? If I was 90, I would not be handling this money for my own use. I would be handling it to pass on, in which case I would want it to work a little harder than a stinking bank account. And so I personally would invest it because I'm very comfortable with that. But I would not want her to do that unless she was very comfortable with that, because she's not really investing it for herself. She's investing it for whoever is going to inherit it. And so during the next 5 years that she lives, 10 years that she lives, 2 years that she lives, the money will be earning a decent rate of return. I mean, we're not talking about a lot of money here. We're talking about the difference in nothing and about $30,000 a year. So basically, if this money were invested, it would make enough to cover the difference that she doesn't have, or pretty close. And so you wouldn't burn through it. You would basically sit there and tread water, and the whole 300, give or take a little bit, depending on how she lives and how the market does and all that kind of thing, would be there for the heirs. That's how I personally would want to handle it if I were in her shoes. But I'm very comfortable with all of that, and I would not want her to do that if it kept her awake at night, if she were scared. We're certainly not going to make investment decisions based on a banker's recommendation. That's like making a transmission decision based on a muffler guy's recommendation. You don't need to do that. So you need to sit down with an investing professional, and if she's cognitive, talk to her about what she wants to do with her money. Mom, do you want the money to work a little harder and take a little risk with it? Or do you want to park over here and not make much but have no risk? That's really her two options. There's not much middle ground. It's really going to be a little bit one way or the other. But the risk is not that she's going to lose it all, because that doesn't happen. Good question. Side note. You ever hear people say, I lost all of my retirement money in the stock market? You ever hear somebody say that? That is someone that did one of two things. They either emotionally were so caught up in the market going down that they just lied, because there's never been a time that the stock market, even in the Great Depression, even the crash of 29, or the dadblame rock slide of 2008, whatever you want to call it, right? The market went in half. And so if you had $1 million at the beginning of the 2008 slide, it would have become worth $500,000. And today, it would be worth $4 million if you left it alone. Okay? So if you bought at the highest possible point but before the 2008 slide, and you sold at the lowest possible point and you had $1 million, you would have lost $500,000. That would leave an ouchie mark. That would feel like crap. Like, oh no, I just lost $500,000. Ouch. And if you cashed out, you would have locked that loss in and you would have lost that money. But you still cannot say, I lost all my money in the stock market, because you didn't. You can say, I lost half my money in the stock market. That would be accurate. Point being that even when you're 90, if the market goes down unprecedented, with the exception of a couple of times in 100 years, if the market went down 15%, oh God, it's $60,000 out of $300K. And it comes back. So far, 100% of the time. So far. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee about that house you bought either. Oh, well, real estate's a good investment. I don't trust it. Well, why? Why do you trust it? Because your whole life you've been driving by houses, and especially if you're old like me, you've been watching these houses go up in value for a long time. When I turned 18 years old, I sold my first house for $42,500. I got my real estate license 3 weeks before that, which tells you a couple things. Number one, an 18-year-old kid sold a house. Number two, somebody was dumb enough to buy it from him. And number three, they bought a house in 1978 for $42,500, which today would be easily worth over $300,000. Now, we all kind of know that if we got walking around since, so we feel comfortable with real estate investing. But the stock market's exactly the same way. What are we looking at there? We're looking at historical data. We're looking at the period of time over which real estate has gone up in value. And it's gone up in value pretty well all the time. Stock market exactly the same way. But there's something different about the stock market. I guess because you don't drive by it and you don't see the trees and the bushes and the bricks and the mortar. And so there's something emotional that feels out of control about it. But if you're looking at historical data, well, past performance is not indicative of future performance. Yes, it is. It's the only thing you've got to forecast with. That's the biggest line of crap ever put out by a regulator. They have to put these big disclaimers on the bottom of all investments. Past performance is not indicative of future Yes, it is. It's the only thing that is. I mean, my past performance of growing hair on top of my head is indicative of the future of that. It's not likely to start happening tomorrow. You know, it's not going to happen. You can take the past and project it into the future. It is going to happen most of the time unless something changes. So that's what you're looking at when you're looking at stock market history. When you're looking at real estate history, you look back far enough to go, is this a stable investment? It's why I don't invest in other things. Because when I look at the history, it's too scary for me. And there is the chance of losing 100% of your money. That's why I don't invest in currencies. That's why all the Bitcoin people are angry with me, because I'm not jumping in on their little fad. I got socks older than Bitcoin. And I'm sorry, guys. You can be angry with me and you can call me unsophisticated and Dave doesn't know what he's doing. None of which would be true, except you just disagree with me and I hurt your little feelings. And you've made some money on Bitcoin lately. I'm glad you made money. I didn't want you to lose money. I want everybody to prosper. But I don't like the risk. I don't buy gold because I don't like the risk. The volatility of gold is cray-cray. It's nutty. So what you're looking at when you invest $300,000, you're not going to lose $300,000 if you put it in mutual funds. Now, if you put it in a single stock, that company could go broke and you could lose the entire thing on that one company. But that would be ludicrous. But if you're well diversified, the chances of you losing it all are very close to zero. The chances of you losing half of it are very close to zero. So you can't go, I lost all my retirement. No, you didn't. Stop your drama queening. This is The Ramsey Show. Hey folks, I got a great option to help you pay for your education. The Army National Guard. The Army National Guard believes you are the next greatest generation because you have proven that even in adversity, that you have what it takes to succeed. That's why they offer benefits like tuition assistance, career training, and a paycheck to help you avoid debt. No matter what your goals are, the Army National Guard can help you get there. Visit nationalguard.com to find out more. Cynthia is in New Orleans. Welcome to the Ramsey Show. Cynthia, how can I help?
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I have a question. I retired. I'm 60, and I had to go back to work. And the job that I have now does not put into retirement. So I talked to a Smart Investor Pro. She suggested that I don't worry about investing into retirement at this point and just focus on paying off my home. Do you agree with that?
Not a bad idea. How much do you have in retirement?
I only have like $100,000.
Okay. All right. And what are you making at your new job now that you're retired?
About $3,000 a month.
And what is your, do you have a retirement income already coming in from your old job or from social or anything?
Yes.
How much?
$2,500 a month.
$2,500
a month.
Okay. All right, good. Well, how much do you owe on your home?
About $220.
I think that's probably pretty good advice. I'd love for you to be doing both. You don't have a ton of money coming in. You've got about $60,000 coming in total between these two or three sources, and so I'd love for you to get that house knocked out because a paid-for house sets you up for a lot of stability in your latest years. You know, like when you're 80 with a paid-for house versus a mortgage, that's a big deal.
Okay.
It would be okay if you wanted to do a Roth IRA. I mean, you can do $6,000-$7,000 a year on that. That's not going to keep you from paying off the house. If you want to go that route, that would be okay. It's not the end of the world. I mean, you qualify to do $7,000 a year at age since you're over 50, and you're making over that. You have the earned income, so you could do a Roth if you want to. But over 5 years, it's just $35,000 you're putting in, and it only reduces how much you pay on your mortgage by $35,000. So, I might go ahead and do a Roth just to get some more going in there. But I really do want you to focus everything you can focus on, the majority of it, on paying off the house. So I think the essence of what your Smart Investor Pro told you, I would completely agree with. So, hey, thank you for the call, and congratulations on the retirement. Andrew is with us. Andrew's in Atlanta. Hi, Andrew. What's up?
Hi, Dave. Pleasure to speak with you.
Sure. How can I help?
15 months ago, I entered into a 3-year car lease. Since then, I've learned how foolish that was, and I'm considering how to get out of it. Given the current market and cars' value, should I find a way out, or, specifically, would the dealership let somebody come back in and just say, I want out, you guys can make more on it right now? Or should I just take the lesson learned and never lease again when it's over?
Well, the way the numbers work out is this. What you're on the hook for is 20 more months approximately of your car payment, plus the closed-in buyout. At the end, there's a stated value in your fleece that you can buy the car for at the end of the 36 months, and there's approximately 20 months of that left, right?
$30,000 plus about there's $800 car payment. So
it's a monster.
I think it's about $46,000. Yeah,
nice car,
ridiculous,
big car.
Shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are the two numbers. You can add those two numbers together and say that's what the whole picture looks like. Now, if you wanted to get out, the way to measure against it is really to measure the 800 per month for 30 months, or for, there's 20 months left. So is that 16,000? Is that right? No, is that 160,000?
14,600 or something around there. Yeah.
Yeah. Am I dropping a zero? But anyway, so compare what you have, exposure that you have. Yeah, it'd be 14,000, 16,000, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Versus what you would lose on it if you sold it today. Now, the way you would calculate that is you find out what you can sell it for in this ridiculous, wonderful, hot market for used cars, and you compare that to another number, and that's calling the fleece. Who have you got the fleece with?
Toyota.
You call Toyota and say, I want the early buyout number, which is the equivalent of your payoff today. That's not the $30,000 at the end. That's today. If I write a check today and pay the thing off, that compared to the value, how far upside down are you?
That could be less.
I'm sorry?
That could be less than what the
less than
contract says.
15,000. And so, what was the original MSRP on the car, the sticker price?
I'm just looking at the lease here. The adjusted capital cost is $55,000. I don't know what the sticker price was. Again, I learned the hard way.
That's okay. All right. And have you looked up what it's worth at all?
The trade-in value is around 43. Private parties around 46.
Okay, so let's call it 45 for discussion purposes. And now you call Toyota up, and they say your early buyout is 40. Okay. You can write a check today for 40 and be clear. Then that means you're 5 in the hole. If you keep it, you're 15 in the hole, even if you turn it in, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you want out of it, this is probably going to be a good one to get out of. You're probably going to find you're not much in the hole right now. What kind of Toyota? It must be a truck.
Yeah, it's a Tundra.
Yeah, it's a beast. Okay.
Double cab. Going through the specifics, would I find someone that is willing to buy it from me? And
yes.
then...
Yeah, you would sell the car to someone and write a check for the difference in that and the early buyout. And you've got to send that whole amount to Toyota, then they send you a title.
Okay, so I just let Toyota know I'm selling it, and I'm, sorry, I haven't looked up any of these details. I'm just curious about how that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way you it's just like, pretend you had a car loan, God forbid, with Bank of America. The title would not be held at your local branch. It'd be held out of town.
Yeah.
And so if you did the same thing and you were upside down there, you have to give the whole amount of the payoff, which is the amount you put with it plus what the buyer gives you, right? So the buyer drives off with a car and a bill of sale and the keys. This is the way it always works. Then you send the full payoff to Bank of America, in this case Toyota. They send you the title. You sign it over to your buyer. It takes about 5 weeks.
Okay.
4 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on how efficient Toyota is. To get the full transaction done. Now, and if you do it with a dealer, you're going to get less for it because the dealer's going to buy it at wholesale, but you're not going to have to screw with anything. They're going to take care of everything. So I'd get a dealer bid on it, see what a Toyota dealer will give you. I'd compare that to what private sale is saying on Kelley Blue Book, and then I'd get your early buyout number from Toyota. But you're going to write a check for something here. It's just not going to be as much as if you keep it.
Understood. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate you joining us. Open phones at 888-825-5225. You jump in. We'll talk about your life and your money. The car fleece is the most expensive way to operate an automobile. It is not cheaper. It's more. Because when you add up the numbers he just said, and here's the thing. The car goes in his example. MSRP sticker was $55,000. At the time he turns it back in 3 years later, the turn-in value is $30,000. He can buy the car for $30,000 at that time or hand them the keys, right? Now, I'll guarantee you this. Toyota's a lot of things, but stupid's not on the list. 100% of the time, that $30,000 has been very carefully calculated with Toyota Tundra statistical evidence that says that that's about what that car is going to be worth. It's not a $35,000 car and he can buy it for $30,000 at the end of the lease. And it's not a $40,000 car that he can buy for $30,000 at the end of the lease. And it's not a $28,000 car that he can buy for 30th in lease. It's a $30,000 car he can buy for 30. So when you put that number in there with $800 and something a month, you figure out what his cost of capital is, which is the effective interest rate, and it generally is around 14.2%. It's the most expensive way to buy a stinking car. Don't do it. It's a car fleece. You're getting fleeced. It's a bad idea. Paying off debt is smart. Saving and investing is smart. Being generous is smart. But there's one key to winning with money that's often forgotten, and that's protecting your family from emergencies. There are 10 kinds of insurance coverage you might need based on what stage of life you're in, and we've built a tool to show you what coverage you need to add, which one of the ripoffs you need to drop, or what you need to adjust. It only takes 5 minutes and it's free. We'll even rank your to-do list by importance, email it to you so you got a game plan, you're ready to go fast. It's free. It's called the Coverage Checkup, and it could be the most important 5 minutes that you spend today. One of our listeners named Donald wrote and said, for anyone who's not completed this checkup, do it right now. You never know when something will happen, and you never want to leave your family in a bad situation. Sounds like he knows personally, I'm afraid. Text checkup to 33789. It's free. Text checkup to 33789. Don't let an emergency sneak up on you. Defense is as important as offense in finance. Carla is with us. Carla is in Des Moines, Iowa. Hi, Carla. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
We have 4 rental properties, and we're just wondering if you have any baby steps associated with owning the rental properties, like you do with on your personal side. Is there a certain amount we should have in an emergency fund, and where do we park extra money as we're saving to buy the next one?
Okay. Are they all paid for?
We have kind of a little bit of a long story. We have a $3,000 on one because our personal residence will be 100 years old next year, and people our age are getting older, and they have things like hip replacements and that. So we're thinking we're going to probably have to get out of this place eventually, and so we keep a little bit of a note there at the bank, so we have that relationship with them in case we.
Why do you want a relationship with a bank?
So we can borrow when we need to get our own, if we need to get a different house. We don't need to move right now.
Yeah, so what's the house that you're living in worth?
It's worth maybe $95,000.
And when you sell it and buy the one that you want to live in because you can't live in it anymore because of hip replacements, what would you buy?
Well, we'd probably buy a ranch thing, so it's all one level.
Like how much?
What I mean? I don't know, around that. But there's that period of time where you have to get, the loan.
No, you don't.
Before
put your
you
house
sell
up for sale, and you sell it on a contingency, and you go buy it. You've done enough real estate deals, you know that. And all of your rentals paid for except for $3,000?
Yeah.
Okay, write a check today and pay off the stupid loan.
Okay.
Now, that's your baby step. Then next baby step is just pile up cash. Oh, by the way, before you get ready to move, you're probably going to have a big enough pile of cash to just buy you a house. Then when you sell the one you're living in, you'll be able to use that to buy some other rentals.
So, do you have, here, we would probably not have to replace all the water heaters at the same time. The chances of that happening are very rare, but it could happen that we would have a hailstorm and we're replacing, siding and
no, you'd
and
have
all
insurance.
So how, you just, there's not an amount that you keep.
Well, what does it take to operate the rentals? I try to keep 6 months of that. of what it takes to operate them. Just stay in a cash position. Real estate people like me and you are the world's worst about keeping cash around. We always want to put it back into more real estate, and we don't ever have quite enough cash.
Well, and that's another question I have. Is it possible to have too many savings accounts?
There's no point in it. One will do the same thing as 7.
I know, but like if like our car fund, if I would marry that to our tax fund, it looks like I have a bigger amount for
as long
a car
as you keep
fund,
as long as you keep a little spreadsheet, it tells you what the breakdown is. It doesn't matter.
I know, but
How many savings accounts have you got?
Well, we have an HSA, and we have a car fund, and then we have like a taxes fund, and then we have like a regular savings account so that it's attached to the checking account in case I'd ever overdraw the account, which never happens. And then we have a savings account for our rental deposits, and then we have like a savings account for just rentals in general.
Yeah, well, that would be an investment account. The last one should be invested because your rentals in general means you're trying to buy more, or in maybe this case, you're going to buy a personal residence when you sell the one you're living in for some reason or another. You're doing fine. I think you're just obsessing about this whole thing. If you want to have 14 accounts, I don't care. It's just a lot of trouble. But it's also a lot of trouble to keep up with all of them on a spreadsheet, and they're all in one. So however you want to run it. I don't keep that many accounts, and I got a lot more rentals than you got. So, I have one account for each of the businesses that own the rentals, and I've got LLCs that own rentals. And when I've got more than $5 million in one LLC, I open another one. And so if I buy a property that's in excess of $5 million, I have a unique LLC just for that particular property. And so I've got a handful of those, but that's, but I don't have different personal savings accounts floating around. I do have a separate emergency fund that I never touch because Sharon said if I do, she's gone. And and then beyond that, we've got it. We're investing money to get ready to buy the next piece of real estate. So you're doing fine. Overall, what you're doing is accurate. You know where your money is. You know what's going on. You're in control. You've done a great job. It sounds like you've got a net worth well in excess of $1 million. So way to go. You're an everyday millionaire. You're a baby steps millionaire. You've done the stuff. Way to go. Samantha is in Colorado Springs. Hi, Samantha. How are you?
Hi, Dave. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
So my 2 debts that I have to pay off are the exact same amount. So I've asked some other people their opinions, and everybody seems to differ. So I figured I'd ask you.
Mm-hmm. What's the amount?
A HELOC. I have a HELOC for $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have $50,000 on my student loan.
And what's your household income?
We bring in around $6,000 a month.
Okay, your HELOC does not go in baby step 2. It goes in baby step 6, and it's big enough you probably need to look at refinancing your house and rolling your HELOC into a new first mortgage because your household income is only $72,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when your HELOC or second mortgage is over half your annual income, we throw it to baby step 6. And in your case, it's so big, it's going to be so long before you get it and the student loan knocked out that you need to probably get you a new first mortgage. What's the balance on your first mortgage? What's the balance on your first mortgage today?
$255.
$255. So you owe $305,000 on your home. What's it worth?
About $415.
Good. Okay. Yeah. What's your interest rate on your first?
It is 3.65.
Okay. You can beat that, and you can get rid of a HELOC. So you now have 2 reasons to refinance unless you've got bad credit. I'm going to go get in touch with Churchill Mortgage and try to get a 15-year fix down around 3%. It's going to save you 0.65 on the first. It's going to get rid of the instability of that HELOC because it's usually a variable rate, and it's indexed based on the banker's whim, meaning it's not indexed at all. They just decide what the freak they want to charge you on these things, and they change it periodically. They've been historically low for so long, they've lulled everybody to sleep, but they're dangerous as crap. because a lot of them have a call, and almost all of them have a variable rate that's not indexed to anything. So that's simple. I'd refinance that, and then that means, guess what? We're working on your student loan. We're going to knock it out as fast as you possibly can. And that means beans and rice and beans, extra jobs, not eating out, and you're not going on vacation until you get rid of said Sally Mae. That old woman needs her eviction notice from your life. Get after it. Get it. You got this. You can do it. That puts this hour of the Ramsey Show in the books. Our thanks to James Childs, our producer. Kelly Daniel is our associate producer and phone screener. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host, and we will be back. Have a friend or family member that needs a daily dose of Ramsey advice in their life? Let them know about the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast. It's a quick hit of advice about life and money in under 10 minutes. Check out the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's The Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. This is Common Sense for your dollars and cents, teaching you to live on less than you make, a concept Congress can't grasp. It's a free call at 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Cameron is in Kansas City to start this hour off. Hi, Cameron. How are you?
Doing well, Dave. How about yourself?
Better than I deserve. How can I help?
I'm just looking for some advice between the balance in terms of paying off our mortgage early and our long-term investment plan. So I'm 29, married with a 2-year-old and another kid on the way.
Wonderful.
We currently owe $245 on our house. We put about $100,000 down about a year ago.
Good.
And we have $65K in cash savings.
Mm-hmm. What's your household income?
I make $125 in base and bonus, and then my company we're an ESOP, so about 11% ESOP contribution on top of that.
Okay. Here's the program that we have used to lead tens of thousands of people into being millionaires, having $1 million net worth or greater. We call it the baby steps. And you may have heard them. Baby step 1, save $1,000. 2 is be debt-free with your house. You've done those 2. 3, I think you've done those 2. You're out of debt except the house, right?
Correct.
Okay. 3 is having 3 to 6 months of expenses set aside for emergencies. $55,000 would qualify. As a matter of fact, it's probably a little high for your emergency fund. Beyond that, we do baby steps 4, 5, and 6 simultaneously, which is to your question, and that's 15% of your income going into retirement, which is a substantial amount right now with your great income. Then we start putting something in baby step 5 towards the kids' college, and you can decide how beefy you want to do that, but I want you with a couple kids be doing at least $100 a month or something. Just get started, at least. If you want to get beefier, that's fine. Beyond that, I throw everything I can get my hands on at the house. Now, until it's paid off, and then once it's paid off, we max out all retirement that's available and become very wealthy, which is baby step 7. Now, why do I do that? Well, number one, at baby step 4, you're putting 15% of your income away, which at 29 years old is $30,000, and so you've got millions of dollars at retirement in that account if you do nothing else. You're going to be just fine. But you're not going to do nothing else, not with what I just outlined. You're also going to save up and pay cash for your kids' college in baby step 5, and in 6, we're going to go ahead and get the house paid off. Now, we've completed at Ramsey Research the largest study of millionaires in North America ever done. 93% of them did not become millionaires from inherited money. And I can unpack that if you want me to. Point being, they all did something to build wealth. What did they do? By far, the vast majority of them we found in almost every time, to the point it was almost stereotypical, in almost every case we found they had done two things. One is they had significantly and steadily funded their 401k, Roth IRA retirement plans. And that, like say I found somebody with $1.5 million net worth, that was oftentimes $1 million. The second thing they had done is they got their home paid off. And that was oftentimes $500,000. So for an everyday or a baby steps millionaire, someone who followed those baby steps, under a $5 million net worth, what we typically found was their house was about a third of their net worth and it was paid off. That element and the big loaded up retirement was the two main things we saw over and over again. The point being, Cameron, that we didn't find hardly anyone who had a big home mortgage because they put it all in investments.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that's really where my question comes in is, you know, I've basically 11% of my compensation goes into our ESOP. I'm contributing 8% to my
Are you
Roth
putting 11% in?
The company contributes 11%.
Okay, I'm asking you to put in 15 of your income.
So I do 8% to my Roth IRA.
Yeah, I would have you put in 15% of your household income into retirement.
In addition to the 11%?
You're not putting in the 11%. They are. They're not taking it out of your check, are they?
Yeah, so that's a huge piece of the
I'm sorry. Are they taking it out of your check, or are they giving you money? Or are they putting it in there?
They put it in there.
Okay, it's not coming out of your check. So the income and figures you gave me were not including that.
Correct. It would be like 140 including
so this is like a match, in a way. Okay? So,
yeah, better than.
Yeah. So you don't worry about that. I mean, that's nice. That's gravy on the biscuit. But I want you to take your household income before income taxes are taken out and say 0.15. And I want that much going into retirement. That's 15%. That's a lot more than you're doing right now.
Sure. And even with what I'm doing right now, I mean, the calculations spit out, 10, 15 million of a future retirement, which then feels somewhat silly to still be paying a mortgage right now. So I think that's
you're not going to have both. You're 29. Okay, you're not going to only have $10 million and never pay your mortgage off, because you're going to pay off your mortgage long before then. Even if you hadn't called me, you would have done that. But you don't need to stop doing retirement because, I've done enough and I'm counting on them putting in 11%. No, you put in 15%. And you go ahead and put the balance that you can find in your budget without straining too much and not taking, your wife still gets to buy a couch. You still get to go on a vacation. And you'll find money out of there to chunk, and you'll hit bonuses and stuff you can chunk towards that house. You're going to have that house paid off for 5 years, even putting 15% of your income away. And you're easily going to hit both. But no, I would not back off and say, retirement's handled. No, I'm not. That's the other direction I wouldn't go. So I wouldn't, you're going to be fine. I do think your prediction is accurate. This is not discussing whether you're going to be bankrupt or not. You're doing a great job. You're paying attention. You're being very intentional with your decision making. You're thinking about this. You're using good critical thinking skills. So you're not going to make a big mistake. But if you were following our plan, which is what I would tell you to do, because it's called our plan, it'd be 15% of your income into retirement, and then kids' college, and then getting your home paid off. So, here's what's interesting about Cameron's call and about what some of you are thinking while you're riding around listening to the show right now. You're thinking, that sounds so simple. You know why? Because it is. It's very simple to understand what to do. The problem comes in the doing it. Oh, there's the problem. You know how you lose weight? Take in less calories. That's a problem, though. This boy likes chocolate donuts. They're in danger if I'm near. I know what to do. The problem comes in the doing it.
What makes our show unique is that we genuinely care about our listeners. We're intentional about choosing the best advertisers to recommend. Blinds.com is no exception. They offer high-quality window treatments at unbelievable prices, and they make it simple to shop blinds, shades, and interior shutters with easy online ordering, free shipping, and a guaranteed perfect fit. Go to Blinds.com and take advantage of this week's special savings.
Market's a bit hot, isn't it? Woo-wee! Talked to a guy who put his home on the market over the weekend. 87 people looked at the house. He has 17 offers in 24 hours, all of them over asking price. Some poor guy who bid $50,000 over asking price, 16 of them are not going to get the house. That's a hot market. Wow. And is this going to continue at this rate? Probably not. There's several leading indicators in the market that the rate of housing price climb, inflation, is going to slow. Lumber has finally caught up and has no longer spiking in price with a new record every month. New housing is starting to catch up in a lot of areas. So the market's not going to reverse itself, and it's not going to collapse in on itself or something like that, but we're going to continue to see prices increase, and it's not going to be as hot as it's been. Now, here's the trick. You do need to, those of you keeping your homes and not selling in this crazy market, you do need to check your homeowner's insurance because it has a stated value on it. It does not cover what the house is worth. It covers what the policy says. And so if your policy hasn't been updated in a year, your house could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars more than it was at this time last year, and you're not covered. So you need to make sure that's done. And you could get, and while you're at it, you ought to price your homeowner's insurance because you're probably paying too much. The market has really shifted on that. So our endorsed local providers for insurance are independent agents, which means they shop a gazillion different companies and get you the best possible deal. So what you do is you text HOME to 33789. Text HOME to 33789, and you'll talk with a trusted insurance pro, a Ramsey trusted insurance pro, about finding the right coverage for you. They're going to shop a bunch of people, get you the best deal. Oh, and make sure your home is properly covered. It used to adjust based on market value, but those were old policies, and they're just about all gone now. You have a stated coverage amount, and that's all you got, plus or minus a little of an inflation factor, but you're not covered if you haven't kept yours up to date. Text HOME to 33789. Gary's in Charleston, South Carolina. Hey, Gary, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
Well, my wife, Christy, and I are here, and we sold our boat. That was our paid-off boat and our paid-off truck. In this market, we got top dollar, and we're using that plus a little bit of savings to pay off the house tomorrow.
Yay! Way to go!
So, yeah, thanks. So, we've kind of worked hard and increased our income to where it's at today and paid off all the bills. And
congratulations.
Debt people anyway. Thank you. But yeah, we started watching your show, and now we've consolidated all our bills together, which made us waste less money. But now we're at that point. We're hitting baby step 7 and next steps. And yeah, we have more money than we know what to do with.
What's your household income?
Household income this year should be right at $360.
Wow. How old are you guys?
I'm 38. She's 40.
Yay. And what's the house worth?
325 to 350.
Excellent. How much is in your retirement accounts? Your nest egg?
Collectively around 360.
Okay. All right. Cool.
But we max them out. We max them out each year. She started sooner than I did, and I started recently.
Well, you guys are doing a great job. I mean, in about 20 seconds, you're going to be millionaires, and you're on your way. Well done. What can I answer for you?
Well, yeah, we have some money in stocks. Have about 6 figures in stock still, and now we're about to have a lot of disposable income. And while I haven't been wrong on my individual stock that I've been investing in, I know that you teach to diversify, and I think that's a very wise move, and I'd like to go that way moving forward.
Okay.
So just some of your suggestions of now we're going to have a disposable income anywhere between $7,500 and $9,000 a month. So what do we do with it?
Excellent. Well, such choices to have. Yeah, it's such a problem.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to philosophically or theologically, there's only 3 things you can do with money. You can be generous with it, and you should. So label some of it for generosity. You can invest it, and you should. So label some of it for that. And you can enjoy it, and you should. So label some of it for that. And so there are some items out there in your future that 2 years ago would have been immature and silly, but 2 years from today, you'll be able to purchase that item and pay cash for it, and it will fit right in, and you won't have to worry about it. It's a non-issue because it's a small enough as a percentage of your wonderful world that you'll be able to do that thing. Go on that trip, buy that classic car, buy that piece of jewelry, that piece of art, I don't know, something that you enjoy. Then you're going to invest. Now, I only invest in 2 things. I invest in real estate that I pay cash for, and I invest in good growth stock mutual funds spreading across the 4 types. I'm a little heavier in real estate than I am in mutual funds for 2 reasons. One is I bought about $100 million worth back in 2008, and I bought it at about 10 cents on the dollar, or about $50 million worth, actually. So it ended up shooting way up because I bought it way at the bottom. I hadn't been able to buy anything like that since. But so I love real estate, but I'm heavy in real estate for that reason, because my returns have been better there, because I bought at the worst time in the last 40 years, probably. And so, which is to my advantage. So anyway, buying real estate that I pay cash for, and then investing in mutual funds, and whichever one you're more comfortable with. Some people don't like mutual funds, so they're light in those. Some don't want to deal with tenants and the hassles of owning real estate, and so they don't have any or hardly any in real estate. If you have something else you want to play in, that's fine. If you want to buy a little bit of single stocks, I don't suggest you have more than 10% of your net worth. In your case, that'd be less than $100,000 in single stocks, because it's just too risky. But if you really have a thing for it and you want to put that much in there and play with it, you'll be okay. You're not going to mess it up doing that, because you've got a small enough amount in there that even if you lost the whole thing, which you would never do that, but even if you lost the whole thing, you still would be worth over $1 million in just a few minutes here. So all of that to say, congratulations. The trick is now take that disposable income and just label it. X for fun, Y for investing, and Z for generosity. And then you're going to be very intentional about your investing, very intentional about your fun, and very intentional about your generosity within that set amount of dollars. And so that allows Sharon and I to do some really fun things with the amount of wealth that we've built, and we don't even have to emotionally sweat it. Oh, are we bad Christians if we buy that? No, we've been very intentional, good stewards, and it's a small percentage of our world. And then when we get ready to do some generosity, we're like, oh, have we messed up our whole estate plan because we gave too much away? No, we're not being crazy. We're being very wise and yet outrageously generous. But when that money's already earmarked to give away and you set it aside, it's interesting. Your emotions have already given it away. You just haven't transferred the bank account yet. And so go ahead and do some of that. When we move our money into our family foundation, it's already given away. Technically speaking, it's already given away in that case because it's a foundation. But also, emotionally, we were done with it once we earmarked that money going that direction. And it just gives you a lot of peace that all three things are happening the way they should. Fun, generosity, and investing to create more fun and more generosity. In the lobby of Ramsey Solutions on the debt-free stage, Josh and Allie are with us. Hey, guys, how are ya?
Good, how are you?
Sporting some good-looking T-shirts, straight out of debt, baby. I like it. Congratulations. How much have you paid off?
We paid off $31,033.45.
Great. How long did it take?
4 months and 5 days.
Wow. And your range of income during that time?
$90K to $95. We didn't really get a raise. We just had a couple of stimulus and we sold stuff.
Okay. That's a stimulus, too. Excellent. Yay! Love it, love it, love it. That sounds fun. Way to go, you guys. What kind of debt was the $31,000?
We had 2 cars, student loans, a couple of credit cards, and some medical bills, so normal.
Kind of normal.
Yeah.
How long y'all been married?
Since November 2nd.
Oh!
So not too long. That's kind of why we went on the journey together, to be honest.
Gotcha. Okay. So as soon as you get married, boom, game on, knock this out. Or right before you got married, you started it. Tell me exactly what happened here.
So we got married in October and started on the 12th of November.
Just like that?
Just like that. So I'm a mortgage loan officer, so I kind of talk about the debt snowball a lot, believe it or not. So it's one of those things I was like, we should probably look into this. If we want to have the life that we really want together, that we vowed to each other, then we need to kind of do something about it.
Okay. So how did you have this discussion while you're being engaged? And
Actually, after we got married, we had cash flowed our wedding without knowing that that's what we were doing. And it was weird because when we were able to pay cash for the wedding, we were like, wait, what have we been doing we could have been saving money this whole time. How did we do that? So he brought it up to me after we got married, like, hey, maybe we should pay off all our debt. Maybe that's the next best thing we can do in order to start saving for
Since
a house.
I talk about this to other people all the time, maybe I ought to
we
do
should
it.
do it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's easy to talk about, other people's debt and other people's problems and not necessarily look at your own.
And I actually grew up listening to you, but in my mind, as as a child, a lot is caught. And what I caught from that was that Dave Ramsey was for people that had their lives together. So we never really did that because our lives weren't really together.
Yeah, that's funny. When quite the opposite is true, but yeah. That's so fun. All right. So it just kind of came together, gelled, and you said, I had this epiphany. We pay cash for the wedding. We can do this. I tell people to do this. We can do it. And game on.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just like that, you joined arms and went after it.
Yeah, and I kind of suggested to him after he brought it up, he's like, we should pay off debt. And I was like, what we could do? We could sell a car.
Ooh.
And he went, oh, well, I don't know.
Ooh.
Because this would be my car that would be the one that gets sold, so naturally.
That's the way to start the honeymoon,
Yeah.
We did it. We sold the car.
Yep. That's how we started it.
What was it? What kind of car?
It was a 2015 Kia Optima.
Oh, nice car gone. Okay. What are you driving now?
2019 Kia Forte.
Oh, my God. That's not exactly a big... Like, you're not dying.
No, not at all.
Oh, man.
And it's paid for, so...
And it's paid for, so...
That's enough of a move to get the goal hit.
Yeah.
And now you're free and you can do whatever you want with this kind of income and no payments. How's that feel to knock that out that fast as your first order of business in a marriage?
So when we first started, like we did the budget, we did the Every Dollar app and everything, and we were like, okay, we should be able to do this in about 7 months. And then at that point, we weren't even tithing. So we were like, okay, 7 months, no tithing, we should be able to do this. And then we just kind of decided, we're like, we should really, be thankful for like the position we're in, the jobs that we have. And so we started tithing, and lo and behold, we actually did it in 4.5 months. It was with tithing. So we were like, oh, wow, this is, we listen to you a lot, and a lot of people go through it like they think that this is going to be a long process. And it doesn't have to be if you are gazelle intense like you say to be. You don't have to spend $200 on groceries. If you budget everything and you can make it work however you want, sell stuff. There's so many different ways to become debt free, and the weight that it's lifted off of us is just unbelievable.
The interesting thing is you get to decide how hot to turn the flame. I didn't call you up and go, turn it up hotter.
Right.
You just decide, I want to get out faster, I'm going to turn it up a little hotter. Or I don't really think I'm going to do that, I'm going to turn it back a little bit. You get to decide. It's your flame. How much do you want to cut? How deeply do you want to cut into this budget? And you're in control. It's not like Dave Ramsey's going to come knock on your door and check your budget.
And what's funny about that is you start off thinking that there are things that you need to do, that you have to have. And then as you get closer and you see your progress, with the snowball, you start to realize that there are things you can live without. You can make deeper cuts and sacrifice to get there faster and race against yourself. So that's something
it becomes kind of a little mental, emotional game, doesn't it?
Yeah, and for sure, there's a lot of times where we didn't spend all our money on groceries that we had budget for our groceries, and it went straight to debt. And then Allie was like, oh, we can probably cut back on groceries. We have enough left over from the week before. And then, then you start becoming so obsessed with paying off the debt.
I found out I'm a huge nerd. I didn't know that before, but I'm the nerd.
I love it. Dial that spreadsheet up. Dial that every dollar app up. I like it. Very good. That's cool. Yeah, we start redefining correctly what most people in America, including you, including me, have defined incorrectly, and that is the difference in a want and a need.
Yeah.
Most of us have absolutely no needs in this country. There's very few people who actually have a need. Most of the stuff we call a need is a want most of the time. And then you go, found out I didn't have to have that to live, and I didn't have to have that to live. And look at that. And we can get out a little faster. And then when we're free, we can do a lot more. We can live like no one else and give like no one else. So what do you tell people when they ask you that the key to doing this is?
I always say the key is just be consistent with it, and don't fall into the stigma that debt is normal. Right? Like I see credit reports every day, and people have all these car payments. And for the longest time myself, I thought, you're going to have a car payment till you die. Right? That's just a normal thing that people think. Cars break down. Just don't fall into that stigma. Debt is not good. And it's one of those things, it's not a tool to use for things. You just pay it off. You don't realize the weight that can be lifted until it's gone.
Yeah. And it feels clean now, doesn't it?
Yeah,
simple.
Right. You're just swimming in a bad pool to a good pool.
I would just add also the budget, because I thought that we thought that we were budgeting before, and we would go, where's all this money we should have? Where did it go? And we didn't have an answer for it. So being very diligent about that budget, that was a bad word in my family growing up.
Sure.
It led to money fights, and so I think I kind of avoided that. But now budget's fun for us.
Right, yeah. It's like, we can like cash flow vacation in 2 months. You know what I mean?
We'll just
what are we going to do with all this money?
Yeah.
Right.
And who can we help with it? And all kinds of stuff. It changes everything. Well, way to go. Very, very cool. And isn't it interesting that you made your giving a full 10% to your local church and didn't slow you down but sped you up?
Yeah.
It was insane.
It's oxymoronic.
It is.
That was honestly, like, if I'm being honest, that was the hardest part for me, was getting my heart right. Because I knew that I was being called to do that, we were being called to do that, and I was selfish.
But your math brain says that's backwards.
Yes,
right.
Wait a minute,
exactly.
You want me to give money away, but I'm going to get out of debt faster? That just seems backwards.
Well, that wasn't even the reason that we did it. We just felt that was what we were supposed to do. We felt led to do it, and it was like God was saying, hey, look, I got something better for you. Like, just let me help you, because I can do this faster than you think you can. So.
And then we fully funded our emergency fund fund 2 months after paying off debt.
Wow.
So
you guys are so impressive. Well done. Well, we got a copy of The Legacy Journey for you. That's your next step, is to completely change your whole legacy, and you are well on your way. You got a great start. So proud of you. Another copy of Total Money Makeover for you to give away to somebody, get their journey started. You can pay it forward with that as well. And, of course, that's our number one bestseller by far around here. So congratulations. We're very proud of you.
Thank you.
Very proud of you, too. You guys are impressive. All right, it's Josh and Allie, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. $31,000 paid off. The first order of business in 4 months of marriage. Making $90 to $95. Game on. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1. We're debt-free!
Yeah! Love it! Man, that's powerful. Well done, you two. Very well done. It is oxymoronic to think that generosity adds to prosperity. You would think if I had a bigger pile of money because I hadn't given some away, that I would be more prosperous. And the truth is the opposite happens, and it happens so often that it is a principle. Now, for those of us that are people of faith, evangelical Christians, we're taught and believe that the Bible says that we're to give a tenth of our income to our local church. A tenth, a tithe, which is a Hebrew word, obviously, an Old English word representing a Hebrew word, but it literally, the word means tenth, 1/10 of our income. Now, you may or may not agree with that. That's not up for discussion. You can agree with it, and if you do, that's fine. If you don't, then I get to do it. It's my faith. I get to choose. You get to choose what you do. I'm not telling you you have to do something, but that's what my faith teaches as an evangelical Christian. And here's the interesting thing about that. The Bible says in Malachi, "Test me in this, says the Lord of hosts." God says, test me. Talking about the tithe. He's discussing the tithe right before that. Regarding the tithe, test me. God says, test me. And see if I will not throw open the windows of heaven and pour out for you a blessing that you cannot contain. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes. Now, the word blessing there does not mean BMW in the Hebrew. It is not necessarily, the word blessing is not necessarily money or wealth. Now, sometimes people on the prosperity side of the Christian world quote that scripture and says, God promises to bless you financially if you tithe. That's not what the word says. The word is the word barakah, B-E-R-K-A-H. And if you look it up in the Strong's Concordance, which is where you get an English translation of the Hebrew word, you'll find that word, B-E-R-K-A-H, means peace, refreshment, as a camel finds in an oasis. At an oasis, there's always shade, there's always water, as opposed to a dry, parched desert. Now reread that. Test me in this, says the Lord of hosts, and see if I will not throw open for you the windows of heaven and pour out for you a blessing that you cannot contain. Peace, as a camel finds at an oasis, that you cannot contain. Now, what ends up happening, whether you're a person of faith or not, here's the principle that works. And it works, again, it's not unique to Christianity, although it manifests itself well within the Christian theology. What happens is this: it's almost impossible to be a miserable person when you are a generous person. Generous people are almost always happier. A lower incidence of depression among generous people. Very few people that are generous are depressed. It's very unusual. Almost never happens. Generous people are attractive. They smile more. They're not attractive because people want to be around them to get money from them. That's not the point. The point is that generosity is not just an act, it is a character quality that induces several acts, like integrity. Integrity is not an act. You have integrity. You are a person of integrity. You are a generous person. It is a character quality, like honesty, integrity, kindness. It's something. Now, if you're a kind person, that's the quality. When you out of your kindness, you do something. If you're a compassionate person, that's the quality. Out of that, you're compassionate to someone. Then that's the verb that comes out of your character quality. And I think we can all agree, joyful people, generous people, compassionate people, kind people are all more attractive. Oh, couldn't we use a little more of that attractiveness in our culture today? There's a lot of just ugliness out there today. And most of it is born in fear, which is not attractive. Most of it is born in anger, which is not attractive. Most of it is born in selfishness versus selflessness, which is not attractive. So here's what ends up actually happening. The people who have as a steady part of their financial diet, the rhythm of their life, they are generous. People who tithe their weekly paycheck to their local church, people who give regularly, not just once a year, not randomly, but as a part of the rhythm of your life, like breathing and bathing, you're giving. You're catching somebody at the gas pump and you just buy their gas. You buy the person behind you at the Starbucks line's next order. I don't care what it is. Those are little tiny things. Maybe you do some nice big things. Maybe you pay for an orphanage to be built. Maybe you pay for a hospital to be built. I don't care how many zeros there are on it. But when people have a regular rhythm of generosity, they are a different kind of a person. And they're very attractive and people want to be around them and they want to have them as employees, and they want to work for people like that as an employer. They are easier to work business deals with. They're not functioning in fear and anger all the time. There's a little different sense of confidence and competence. And you know what all of that leads to? More money. Generous people have a tendency to prosper because of that. And it's not really because they gave the money away. It's because their heart and who they were as a person was changed when they gave the money away. And it made them attractive, and attractive people have more of a tendency to prosper than unattractive people. I mean, think about it. If you're an employer and you're sitting there and you're looking at two candidates that are up for promotion, one of them's going to get the job and one isn't. One of them is miserable, angry, fearful all the time. Every time you look at them, they look like they were weaned on a pickle. And you look at the other one and they're smiling and they hold the door open and they always put others first and they're thinking about how they can make everything better instead of how they can make themselves better and bigger. They're equal in their talents, but that one character quality distinguishes the two of them apart. Who gets the promotion? Everybody answer with me, the generous person. That's who gets the promotion. Generous people have a tendency to prosper. Who are you going to hire to do your lawn care? Who are you going to hire to fix your car? Who are you going to hire to do your hair? Who are you going to hire to... Someone's weaned on a pickle? Someone's angry all the time and selfish and they're figuring out how they can cut every corner on you? Or someone's got a little margin in their life. There's a little wiggle room in their spirit. Everything's not so freaking tight. They're not about to explode all the time. Now tell me generous people don't prosper. I've watched it for decades. And this is why you will hear regularly a testimony, and it's not a mystical, weird Christian thing, but you'll hear a couple like that last couple doing their debt-free scream that says, we started giving away 10% of our income because we thought we should. We were convicted of that by God's Spirit. We thought God was telling us to do that. That's exactly what you heard them say. And yet they got out of debt 3 months faster than their original plan, in almost half the time of their original plan. Did the math really change? No, their income went up only a little bit. They were able to sell his car, but what changed was them. Be not conformed to this world. Don't be normal. Normal sucks. You don't want to be normal. Don't be like this world. Be transformed. How are you transformed? The renewing of your mind. You change your mind. You get information you didn't have, and you install it into your hard drive, and the operating system is permanently changed. It's called living like no one else, so that later you can live and give like no one else. This is The Ramsey Show.
Hey, it's Kelly, associate producer and phone screener for The Ramsey Show. If you would like to do your debt-free scream live on the show, make sure you visit theramseyshow.com and register. We would love for you to come to Nashville and tell Dave your story.
This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's The Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Thank you for joining us. Flying solo today here on The Ramsey Show. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Emily starts off this hour in Auburn, Alabama. Hi, Emily. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
A huge fan, first of all. So I'll get right to it. So my husband and I are closing on a house in a couple of months. We did a semi-custom build. Luckily, we went in right at the right time before all the cost of lumber went up.
Good.
Yeah. So we have about $200,000 in savings in the bank. $30,000 of that's going to be our emergency fund, and we're reserving about $20,000 for house things such as like a fence and any extra furniture that we need. Should we put all of the remaining $150 as a down payment, or put some of that in another investment? Because we're doing the 15% of our income into retirement. We follow your plan to a T. So we just didn't know if we wanted all of that money in the house or if we should put it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Okay, if you follow our plan to a T, and you were already in the house, and above your emergency fund and above your furniture fund, and above your 15% of your income, you found some money, what would you do with it in baby step 6?
I'd pay off my house.
You'd pay it towards the house, right?
Right.
So you wouldn't put it into an investment because you're following our plan to a T.
Yes.
And so you're going to put $150,000 down on this house.
Sweet.
That
was a lot easier.
Does that make sense? I mean, that's just following the baby steps out. Is that logical?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I asked, I listen to you every day, and I just heard,
Well, I mean, if you call me up and you had, if you put $100,000 down and you put $50,000 in mutual funds, and you call me up and you said, I got $50,000 in mutual funds, it's not in retirement, what should I do with it? I would say, well, you're on baby step 6, and I would tell you to pay down the house. You know that because you follow my plan to a T, right?
Correct, yes.
So if you were to invest it, I would have you undo it so that you could follow our plan to a T.
Cool. Well, we will do that then. Thank you.
Now, the reason is we want a paid-for house and a pile of money in retirement, not just one or the other at the end of the story, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
You're doing so good. Well done. Appreciate you calling in. Open phones at 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Well, Dave Ramsey doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, everybody uses debt that's wealthy. No. You must live in your mother's basement and write that financial blog. Because the actual data of wealthy people is that by and large they don't use debt to get there. By and large they do get their homes paid off. The vast majority of America's millionaires, 93% of them, did not inherit their money, according to an airtight piece of research that the Ramsey research team did. And out of those 93% of America's millionaires, we studied over 10,000 of them, the largest study ever done. The vast majority of them paid off their homes early and had money in their 401ks and in their Roth IRAs and mutual funds, and that's how they get their first 1 to 5 million. Now, if you want $1 billion instead of the first 5 million, if you want to try to jump straight to $1 billion, well, you might borrow money out your eyeballs. That's possible. But I'm not here trying to create billionaires. I'm here trying to create millionaires. Because I want families to be able to retire with dignity, be able to change their family tree, and be able to live well. I don't need you to go broke 6 times in the process getting there. We're not trying to write a success manual on going broke over and over again by taking all this risk. I went broke once, and I did that apparently for all of you, so you don't have to, because you can learn from my stupidity. You don't have to follow it. So this idea that sophisticated people all borrow money is absolute statistical hogwash. It's simply not true. They do not. Now, do sometimes billionaires? Yes, sometimes they do. Does somebody worth $30 million? Maybe. But you got 30 cents. 30 cents. And you're losing some of your cents all the time. And so don't talk to me about how sophisticated people borrow money. You're freaking broke. They do not. Now, that's what I used to think, because that's what my broke finance professor taught me. If your finance professor's broke, that's like having a shop teacher with missing fingers. You should think about where you're getting your advice. So be careful when someone says, oh, well, such and such, like Ramsey, is not sophisticated. The stuff we teach is unbelievably profound and sophisticated. It just doesn't line up with your get-rich-quick little immature self, and you don't like it, some of you. Oh, well, you don't have to follow it. This is America. You have the right to be wrong. You're allowed to go do whatever you want to do. So she's brilliant. She's done a great job. They've handled their money beautifully, and they're well on their way to substantial wealth. And we meet everyday millionaires, baby steps millionaires, who follow these baby steps by the tens of thousands. Every day I meet more. And is it because I didn't make up any of this? I didn't invent any of this. It used to be called common sense. It's just now marketable because it's so freaking rare. It's like having a superpower. I've made millions and millions of dollars selling common sense because there's not any out there. And so it turns out it's like a rare commodity. It's like finding a big old diamond out in the middle of your backyard. Look at that! Oh my God, that's ingenious! Live on less than you make! Oh, who would have thought of that? You know, but that's where we live. Instead, we've got, oh, I'm going to Bitcoin my way in, and I'm going to play the lottery, and I'm going to borrow and do nothing down real estate and buy 73 houses with no money and think that isn't going to bite me in the butt later. Of course it's going to bite you in the butt later. It's going to take you to your knees. It did me, and it will you. Please don't do that stuff. It's going to bring pain to your family, and then you have to do it all over again. It's much easier just to do it slower and do it right. It's also faster to do it slower and do it right. It's easier to do a job right the first time, and wealth building is no different. So, walk these baby steps, and in 10 to 12 years, you'll probably be a millionaire, most of you. But to the extent you don't, then you have to wander off and find your own way because you're going to reinvent common sense. That's just silliness. And that is not an indicator that the stuff that the Ramsey personalities and Dave Ramsey teach is simplistic or out of touch or he's such a boomer. Oh my God, you're such a child. You're just such a baby child. Listen, little baby child, here's the deal. The boomers got this stuff figured out. That's how I lived this long and got this stinking much money. It isn't because I was stupid or unsophisticated or ignorant or backwoods or any of those things. This stuff is profound. It's easy to understand, but it is life-changing because you have to change your life to live like this in the middle of a culture that's lost its freaking mind. This is The Ramsey Show.
Stop paying your overpriced wireless provider and switch to Pure Talk. They use the same network as the larger providers for much less. For just $30 a month, get unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data with no contract. The average family saves over $70 a month by switching to Pure Talk. Just go to puretalk.com and enter the promo code Ramsey to save 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, simply smarter wireless.
You know what sucks? Living paycheck to paycheck. At the end of the month, barely covering the bills and never getting ahead. It's like being stuck in a revolving door with your money. It doesn't have to be like this. You can stop going in circles and start making progress. Check out Financial Peace University and Every Dollar. They're part of Ramsey Plus. A membership in Ramsey Plus will show you how to make the changes you need to get the results you want with your money. And that's because Ramsey Plus gives you complete access to our best online money courses. Like I said, Financial Peace University, Know Yourself, Know Your Money from Rachel Cruz, all kinds of tools like Every Dollar, all kinds of stuff there. The Ramsey Plus membership is everything you need. You can get out of the cycle, and you can start making real progress. Jump in for your free trial at Ramsey Plus today. Text TRIAL to 33789. Text TRIAL to 33789. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Matt is in Milwaukee. Hi, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Hey, I appreciate everything you do. I just recently got engaged with your whole program. I just got done telling my wife all I wanted for Father's Day was to enroll in a financial peace course. My question for you is, so we're working on our debt snowball now. We've got about $135K in debt, mostly student loans, cars, and then a little bit of credit. My question for you is, I, through my company, have the opportunity to go through like a employee stock program at a significant discount. I have been contributing to it.
Yeah, 15%.
Is because of the so for the stocks they allow up to about 10. Should I continue to invest in that? Not the 401k.
No, the discount's 15%, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That's standard. That's regulatory. Okay. That's what they all are.
So my question. Oh, they all are. Okay, I did not know that. Do you recommend continuing to invest in that based on the discount and building that up to pay off debt, or just completely putting all cash towards?
I would stop all investing and take any money that's not in a retirement account and throw it at your debt snowball.
Okay.
And here's why. Let's look at that single stock for a second. As I said, 15% standard in all employee stock option plans. If you will pull up your company, and notice I don't even know what it is, and look at your company's stock price on a 52-week chart, a one-year chart, and you will see the variance of price most of the time will be in excess of 15%, meaning that by the time you get it bought, you might have overpaid for it. Or you could be buying it super cheap and it could go up 30% over what you paid for it. It's all over the place. It's a very high-risk play, playing single stocks, and 15% discount is not enough because the volatility in one calendar year generally is going to exceed that.
Actually.
You know, if the discount was 50% and the volatility was 15, we could talk about the play. But when the discount is 15% and the volatility might be 20%, that's not a play you want to make ever, for that matter. But if you want to make it, you want to make it on a very small percentage of your world after you're out of debt. But the beauty of our get out of debt thing is, Matt, it's all about focus. And if you'll stop doing everything else and completely focus on getting out of debt, and it becomes like a freaking obsession where you've lost your mind and you get out of debt, that's how people get out of debt. You can wander into debt, but you can't wander out. You can't do 6 things at one time and still get out of debt. It won't work. You got to completely squeeze cash out of everything. Stop putting money in anything until you get the debt paid off, and completely throw it at the debt snowball. That's how people are having these fabulous stories of getting out of debt, this incredible focused intensity. And that's what you'll learn in Financial Peace University. And I'll give it to you for Father's Day since your wife didn't. We'll give you a 1-year subscription to Ramsey Plus, which will include Financial Peace University, the Every Dollar Premium, and everything else you need to get out of debt, sir. We will help you. And you call me back if I can help you anymore. Kelly will pick up and she'll get you signed up and take care of you. Anthony's with us in Fort Myers, Florida. Hi, Anthony. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hey, how's it going? Me and my wife just found you a few months ago and started following your program. And we never had any debt, but we just finished saving 6 months living expenses.
Great.
We just finished saving $10,000.
Great.
And now we're on baby step 3B, saving for a house. And I've heard you say sometimes keep investing 15%. Into retirement, and other times put it on hold. And exactly. I was wondering, how do you determine whether it would be better to put it on hold or keep investing 15 while saving for the house?
It's a personal preference. Some people prefer to put it on hold because they're all jacked up about getting a house. Others are willing to wait a little bit longer because they're all jacked up about getting started with investing. So it's just personal preference. There's nothing on it. So, you can actually add up what does 15% equal. What's your household income?
Right at $70,000.
Okay. All right. So 15% is about $10,000 a year. Less that you would be putting towards your down payment if you don't temporarily stop investing. Now, what I don't want you to do, the only guideline I would give you is I don't want you to stop investing to do no baby step 4 for more than 3 years. So you need to get your down payment, whatever you're going to do. If you're going to stop investing, if you're not going to go to baby step 4, you need to do whatever you're going to do inside of 3 years. And that's the way I would get at that. Hey, thanks for the call. Las Cruces, New Mexico. Matt is on the line. Hey, Matt, how are you?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
Better than I deserve. How can I help?
Well, I was just wondering, I have about $11,083 in credit card debt. And I recently got an ad in the mail, I guess you could call it, to consolidate them to get a much, much lower interest rate. I've got 29% on all 3 credit cards, and the lower interest rate would be 6%.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of wondering, do you think it's worth it to do that, or should I just forgo consolidating them and continue to pay on them as I've been?
What's your household income?
Currently, I am at $49,980, but as of July 5th, I start a new job where I'll start there at $57,200. By December 2022, I'll be at $65,000.
Are you single?
No, sir.
What does your wife make?
I have my wife.
What does she make?
But, she just lost her job due to COVID. So she's
just
looking
now?
for another job. She's also pregnant.
I mean, she just lost her job now due to COVID?
It's because she's pregnant.
Oh.
And can't get the shot right now because we're afraid it might hurt the baby.
That's wise. Okay. I'm with you on that.
So,
what does she do? What does she do?
She is a prevention specialist. She works with youngins and trying to keep them off drugs.
Okay. All right. And how pregnant is she?
We just started second trimester.
Okay. All right. Well, I would look for something for her to do.
No, we are. We're looking.
I don't want to put her in the salt mines or anything, but I mean, I would, because anything we can do. Here's the thing, okay? 29% on $11,000 is $3,000 a year. I would want you to pay off $11,000 in 6 months, so it's $1,500 worth of interest that you're going to pay currently. If you reduce it to 6%, that's going to be about $300. So it's going to save you about $1,200 in 6 months. $1,200 is nice. If you hand it to me, I'll take it. Okay? But would you notice that $1,200 does not pay off $11,000?
No, sir.
So what pays off $11,000 is you getting on a beans and rice and beans budget and attacking this like your freaking life depends on it. And you knock it out fast. Now, if you're going to do that, we're talking about saving $1,200 is all, because you're going to pay it off inside 6 months. That means that you are going to put $2,000 a month on this debt, which means you're doing nothing except working and paying on this stupid debt that's killing you. Now, if you want to do that and reduce it to 6%, that's fine. But don't you dare reduce it to 6% and walk off like you did something and then leave that debt laying there. You got to pop it in the nose, dude. Open phones this hour. This is The Ramsey Show. The phone number is 888-825-5225. Thank you for joining us. Jeff is in Orlando. Hi, Jeff. Welcome to The Ramsey Show.
Hey, Mr. Dave. How are you, sir?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
I think I've made a mistake buying a car warranty, and I'm wondering if I can cash out my car warranty to pay down my loan.
Yes.
So I wasn't sure. I've got about $22,000 left on my car loan, and if I cash it out today, about 3 years early, it'll give me another $2,000 to pay down on my loan.
Yes.
I should just go ahead and do that, not worry about the warranty.
Yes.
All righty.
Now let me back in. I appreciate you being so trustworthy of my advice, but let me tell you why. Okay.
Sure.
Then you can decide. Okay. Extended warranties, car warranties included, are 87% profit and overhead on average. They are 13% statistical probability of coverage. Now, what that means is if we're going to open up an insurance company of any kind, an extended warranty company of any kind, I don't care what we're going to warranty, the first thing we would do is we would figure out, okay, we're going to cover the car in this case against breakdowns for X, Y, Z, and A, B, and C. We're going to cover those four things. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say this type of car, a Hyundai or whatever it is, okay, we'll just make up a brand. We're going to study that car for breaking down on the items that we're covering. And out of 1,000 Hyundais just like that, we're going to know that the average car is going to break down a certain number of times mathematically. Out of 1,000, we'll get some good averages. And so we know what it's going to cost us per car that we cover on average. Does that make sense?
It does.
So it's a statistical table. It's called an actuarial table in life insurance. But anytime you're running a statistical probability of an event occurring like that, you're studying. It's an actuarial study, okay? And so that's all you're doing is you're just figuring out of 1,000 Hyundais, and we're going to cover. Let's just make it simple. It never happens, but let's say you're going to buy transmission insurance, and that's all it was. Then you would study 1,000 Hyundais of that exact model and make and say out of 1,000 of them, 7 of them, the transmission's going to go out and the transmission costs this much money, and you divide that into times 7, divide it into 1,000, and we know what it costs us per car out of 1,000 that we cover. Is that one more time? That logical? That makes sense to you?
It does, yeah.
That number is 13% on average.
Okay.
Meaning that that's all that they're covering you for is $13 out of every 100, $130 out of every 1,000, $260 out of every 2,000. So what I just told you to cancel was $260 worth of coverage, and you got $2,000 back for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. 2 years ago, I bought it with the warranty for $3,200, so I've already had about $1,200 as you would say stupid tax.
Yeah, you've lost that unless you had $1,200 worth of repairs and you were one of the 7 people out of 1,000 or whatever the number is, right? In which case you always feel like a genius for buying these things. But statistically, the other 87% on car warranties, about 50% of it is paid in commission to the dealer. So when you bought a $3,200 warranty, somewhere around $1,500 went to that dealer as a commission. And the rest of it went to 13%, then $260 went to cover the actual event on average, and the balance went to profit and to overhead for the warranty company that sold it to the dealer. They made a profit in there as well. But about 50% of car warranty is actual commission. And that's why Best Buy, when you're checking out for an extended warranty, if you go to Best Buy and buy a number 2 pencil, they will try to put an extended warranty on it. You know what I'm saying? Because they make more money on extended warranties at Best Buy and on credit cards and 90 days same as cash than they do on TVs. Their money that they make is on extended warranties and on financing. So, and the car dealer's not much different. So all of that is the reasoning behind this. So what I just asked you to do is take $260 worth of risk on average. In return, you reduce your debt by $2,000. I think that's a good trade. That's why I told you to do it.
Sure, absolutely. $2,000 closer to being debt-free, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, and you may have something break tomorrow. You know that, right?
Yeah.
That's not covered by your regular warranty and therefore not covered by the extended warranty, so you're going to be cussing Dave Ramsey then unless you understood the risk that you were taking. And so but I never buy extended warranties on anything for that exact reason right there. It's simple math for me. I will self-insure through something that gives me a 13% benefit out of a 100-cent dollar. It's just not worth it to me. You pay so dearly for the coverage. That's what it comes down to. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Jennifer's in Champaign, Illinois. Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Hello, Dave. I'm blessed today. How are you?
Better than I deserve. How can I help?
Okay, I'm calling on behalf of my daughter to see what I can do to possibly help her out of a situation that she has gotten herself into. She's a single mom with 2 school-aged kids. She has a good job where she makes about $32 an hour and has some excellent benefits with that. Unfortunately, she has a lot of debt and not a lot of assets. In her case,
what situation did she get herself into?
She bought a house that was condemned.
Why?
With a gentleman. Because she was with a significant other who talked her. Well, basically, she went along with it, drank the Kool-Aid, and went along with the story. Unfortunately, her name is the only one on the loan, and it's a personal loan. It is not a house loan.
So how much does she have on the personal loan?
Her personal loan is right around $24,000.
Is the property in her name?
It's in both their names.
Where's Goober? Where'd he go?
Oh, he's not paying on it at all.
I know. Is he still around?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think we can help her.
Well, that was what I thought. But my question is, with her debt, is there a better way for her to refinance that as opposed to this personal loan that she has?
No, she needs to do is sell the condemned home as much as she can, as soon as she can, and pay down the loan as fast as she can, and probably evict Goober.
Okay. Well, she's no longer with Goober.
I thought you said he was still there.
Oh, he's still in the city.
But he's still hanging around, but he got all he wanted out of this. Okay. Now he's got half a house.
He wanted out of this, but this house is in, it's most likely the city is going to make them demolish it.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're going to make the new investor demolish it because she's going to sell it this week. And Goober's going to sign, or I'm going to threaten him within an inch of his life.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, because he's a parasite, is what you've just described, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he needs to sign, and they need to get rid of this house. I hope your daughter is not further in debt when the smoke clears, but the house is not encumbered by a mortgage. She just has a personal loan of $24,000. So if she gets $18,000 for the house, voila, she's got an extra $6,000 for having taken a trip with Goober.
So it's not encumbered by a house loan?
No, you said it was a personal loan.
Okay. Yes, it is.
It's probably not got a lien on the house. They probably didn't take a lien on the property because it probably isn't worth that much. You have any idea what they paid for it?
It was $15,000 they paid for it, and then she took out a personal loan to do home improvements on a house that you could make it livable maybe.
So she's living in it.
No, she's living with us right now.
Okay. All right, good.
There's no way you could live in this. It's a horrible situation.
Yeah.
So, again, my question was to see if there was anything that we could do to advise her as far as
let's
cut
bait. Let's cut the losses as fast as we can. Get him out of her life as fast as we can and as far as we can permanently, and get this property out of her life. It's not going to be anything but a money pit for her. She needs to get rid of it. And if she ends up a little bit in the hole getting rid of it, so be it. That's part of the price she paid for this bad decision. I'm so sorry for her. What a horrible thing. Our scripture today, Matthew 5:14 and 15. You're the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. Albert Schweitzer said, at times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Agreed. So our last caller, a mom calling, grieving for her daughter who has children, single mom. She hooks up with a guy who's a bad dude. He may not be intentionally bad dude, but he's stupid. And he talks her into getting on the stupid train with him. And together they buy a condemned house for $15,000, and they put another $9,000 in it, and she has $24,000. And she already had $32,000 in debt, and she already was a single mom, barely making it, living with her mom. I have done a whole lot of stupid things in my life, and I have coached and sat with people and cried with people and prayed with people that have done a whole lot of stupid things in their life. Most money problems are self-inflicted. Most of the time, like almost all the time, that I have gotten messed up in a money situation, lost my tail end, was because I was stupid. And you know when I'm the dumbest? The same time that poor girl was. I'm the dumbest when I'm desperate. Right after I get desperate, I get really stupid. Because when you get desperate, you will grab at things and try to do things that you know in your mind are not going to work, but somewhere deep down in your heart, you think you're going to win the lotto, so you buy the ticket, knowing you're not. You think you're going to beat the odds. You look at this guy standing in front of you, young woman, and you know he's a twerp, but you're so desperate that you try to hook up with him anyway. He tries to talk you into buying a freaking condemned house. And you know this is not going to work, but you're so desperate that you try it anyway. And now we've got an extra tens of thousands of dollars worth of problems. It hurts so bad. I'm so sorry. And some people don't like it that I call some of these things that people do stupid. Oh, Ramsey just calls you stupid. Ramsey calls himself stupid. So we're all stupid. We've all bought a ticket a time or two on the stupid train. I'm not saying anything that I haven't done I've done stupid with zeros on the end. So I'm not picking on anybody or shaming anybody. But I mean, just be careful when you're the most vulnerable, when you're the most desperate, because that's the most time you're going to fall into the trap. When you're desperate for companionship, you'll overlook the fact that this guy's just mentally ill. When you're desperate to get out of your mother's basement, you overlook the fact that this real estate deal is a horrible idea. Desperate always leads to stupid. High probability of stupid is following desperate. Be careful, folks. Jonathan's with us in Houston, Texas. Hey, Jonathan, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. How's it going?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
I want to know how you handle family members in an estate situation. I'm over the estate. My sister's oversees my mom's finances, but every month, at the end of the month, she is basically drained down my mom's Social Security check.
I'm sorry. How are you over? Oh, your mom's still alive?
Yes, my mom's still alive. My dad died recently and left the estate to my mom. I'm the trustee. She's the beneficiary.
Okay, so how is your sister over the money if you're the trustee of the estate and all the money is in your control?
The money that my sister's dealing with is my mom's Social Security money that's coming in.
That's all.
Yes, my lawyer says that I'm only over the estate. I'm not over the Social Security.
Right, that's true. You don't have control of that. Okay. And so your sister is using up your mom's only money to live on?
Yes. She doesn't have a job, hasn't had a job in several years, still lives at home.
Wow. And how old is she?
About 42.
Okay. And how old's your mom?
72 with Alzheimer's.
Oh, wait, is she she lost her capacity?
No, not yet. She's still functioning day to day, but...
Has she lost her decision-making ability?
No, when you ask her a direct question, she can definitely answer that, but if you lead with something that's open-ended, she will ramble on and kind of drift off.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me tell you, you can go as hard on this as you want to go. One is you can just let this run its course and not worry about it, and you just make sure your mom's taken care of. Because soon enough, your sister's going to have nothing when your mom passes.
Correct.
She's going to be out on her own. She's going to figure it out then. That's going to happen soon enough. If you want to go harder on it, you can sit down face-to-face with your sister and say, listen, here's what's coming. When mom's gone, you're going to be out. You'll get your share of the inheritance because that's what the will says, and I will abide by the will, but you're not going to be here anymore. You're not going to be staying. I'm sorry?
I've done sit-downs with her over 4 times. My friends have told her some of the same things I've told her, and she still doesn't listen.
Okay.
She just keeps on going.
And the only other thing you can do if you want to go hard, and I don't think I would recommend this, but you would have to have your mom declared incompetent and have the court appoint what's called a guardian ad litem, someone to watch over your mom, which would likely be you, at which point you would evict your sister. That's pretty hardcore. Your mom's not going to enjoy that process. Your sister's not going to enjoy that process. And therefore, you're not going to enjoy that process. And truthfully, what's your mom's life expectancy, do you think? 5 years? 4 years? 3 years?
5 years. I'm giving it,
or
with
less.
her current condition right now,
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to say 5 years probably without
or less.
any issues. Yeah.
I'm not medical, but you've got medium level of Alzheimer's, and so it's always debilitating. So I don't know anything about it. I've just worked with enough of these situations looking in from the outside. So it's up to you. Do you want to let this? You don't need the Social Security money. It doesn't do anything for you. It just aggravates you that your sister's a parasite.
It does. I'm trying to make sure that I paid off all my debts once my dad passed away. I've made sure that all the investments are up to snuff so that my mom will have, if she needs any assisted living, nursing home, anything like that, there's money there to take care of her for 5, 6, 7 years if need be. But my sister doesn't understand that, like, we need an emergency fund. I saved up a lot of money and bought a new washer and dryer because I went out of the house because my sister didn't have the money saved up. And I tell her these things and try to explain it to her, and nothing gets through to her. And I'm just wondering, like, what
I would do is sooner rather than later, I would get your mom in a different situation for care and just sell the house. You're in charge of the house, are you not?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So when your mom doesn't need to live there anymore and needs care, I would get her in an assisted living situation, even if it's a nice high-end, partially functional, but then just tell your sisters, you're going to have to move because the house is being sold. And that gets her, that may not get her out of the Social Security, but it gets her out of everything else.
Yes.
And it gives her the wake-up call that, bless her heart, at 42 she needs, because she's not productive. She's not happy. She's miserable.
Every day. I told her she's miserable. It's just...
There's no dignity in the way she's living. It's not fun for her either. It's just sad. But the problem is she's got some kind of mental thing going where she's in denial about what her life's going to look like. So I really wouldn't, I can't recommend you go hardcore on it, but if you want to, you'd be understandable that you did. But I think, but please don't continue to expect your sister to change ever. She's not going to change. All that's going to happen is she's just going to become homeless. And then she's going to change. But you're not going to change her. You're not going to talk her out of this. I'm sorry. That's so painful. That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. We'll be back with you before you know it. In the meantime, remember, there's ultimately only one way to financial peace, and that's to walk daily with the Prince of Peace, Christ Jesus.
This is James Childs, producer of The Ramsey Show. You can listen to all our shows with the Ramsey Network app on your smartphone. Browse by topic or even send clips to your friends. Download the Ramsey Network app in your favorite app store today.